And where most people would say, screw this, I didn't sign up for this, this is stupid. So one of the questions I get asked, not so much how did I become the car wizard, but how did I even get started in mechanics? Where did I learn how to work on cars? I have over 20 years combined experience working on cars, mechanical experience. How did I acquire that? So we'll start from the beginning, and it all starts in the United States Army. Actually, it starts when I was about 14. My dad bought a brand new lawnmower. I was interested in learning mechanics, and I think he mowed with it once or twice, and I went out and took the cylinder head off and to see what's inside of it. I bent the head, I made it unusable, and I don't remember it, but my dad says when he went to try to start it, there was grass that came out of where the piston and the head were wide open, and grass was blown out. I don't remember that so much, but I guess he thinks that I stuffed grass in it or something. But $400 lawnmower, it was only mowed with twice, and I decimated, I ruined it. So he told me, he said, you can either pay for a new lawnmower or fix that one. So I got the parts together, I figured it out, I got it running again, and that's when I knew, even though it was stupid the way I broke it, I'm really interested in learning how to do this. How do you put things back together? How do you take it back apart, but yet put it back together and make it still run? So that's when I started learning. In high school, I took your typical mechanics class, Auto Mechanics 101, I guess you would call it. Learned the basic systems and things of that nature. How does the fuel system work? How does an engine work? All the basics. And after high school, I knew I wanted to go in the military. I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do, but it just hit me. You're pretty good at this mechanic thing. You really enjoy it. Why don't you just do that? So I signed up to be a tank mechanic, specifically on the M2A2 Bradleys. But I also worked in the whole time I was in the military, worked on Hammets, 5 tons, deuce and a halfs, Humvees, 113 personnel carriers, M1 Abrams, a whole slew of vehicles. I got cross-trained on a whole lot of different vehicles. Through those 3 years in the military, I not only learned to work on vehicles, but it strengthened my mind. Not so much in knowledge, but it hardened my mind. Because there were times when a tank is broke down, halfway stuck in the mud, and the wrecker can't even get it out. There's actually a tank called an M88 wrecker. It's a giant tank that's used to pull tanks out of the mud. And that wouldn't even work, and they were like, we have to fix this right here, right now, in the mud. We have to pull this torsion bar out, take it all apart. And where most people would say, screw this, I didn't sign up for this, this is stupid. That's where I learned resolve. I learned to say, no, I don't care if I like it or not, this will be done. So I got in there, me and a couple other mechanics, we got it together. We actually got the new torsion bar in, got the road wheel back together. And the tank at that point was able to power itself out of the mud and get out of it. There's lots of instances like that in the military. It kind of sharpened my resolve. And even in today, when I run into a problem, I notice in my mechanics that I'm training, they easily will say, it can't be done, or I can't do this. And I get kind of upset with them. It's like, yes, it can be done. I'll show you. And I do it in 2 minutes, and they're just like, yes, that silence. They're just in silence. They're just like, how did you do that? I say, it's just something within yourself that you have to say. You can do this. You will do this. And you don't allow anything otherwise. And that's where I've learned a lot of the skills I have over the years, and also that resolve. But after the military, I got out and I worked for an industrial company that had cranes. It had various different other large, heavy equipment, and I was able to work for them for a while, several years, maintain their equipment. Nothing really much to speak of. It's just I fixed their equipment for them. At that point, I actually started to get burned out on mechanics. I was like, this is fun, it's all well and good, but maybe there's some other avenue in life that I could try. And I actually went to work for Cessna Aircraft Company. I worked in the Citation 10 line. I did the wing assembly. And although I was very good at it, I learned some skills in that particular field that your average mechanic doesn't even have. And that is how to install fasteners, and if it doesn't go right, how to drill them back out by creating zero damage, without damaging the skin, without making the hole larger than it should be, or there's also applying sealant, all kinds of different skills I learned by working there that has helped me along the way in being a mechanic. At that time, I went through some marital problems with my first wife, and things didn't work out, and I was so depressed at that point, I just quit. I shouldn't have, but I did. And I'm kind of glad I did because of where I'm at today. But I went on later on at various different jobs, different mechanic shops here and there. And then I went to a machine shop, an aircraft machine shop. I learned how to write CNC programs. I set up CNC machines to make parts. I got very good at that. But again, I learned skills there about different various steels, alloys, how they can be drilled, what you can do with them, how to measure threads, how to rethread things, how to tap holes. All those things I learned that, again, your average mechanic is mediocre at best at doing. And after that, I opened my own small shop and I gained more experience that way, working on more cars, getting different cars in. And even to this day, we'll run into incidents with even the guys I'm training, like mid to 90s GM cars, they like to put in their window regulators with large rivets. There are no bolts. If you drill it in properly and you run through at force, you will shatter the glass. Or you can blow out the holes where the rivets won't even seat anymore. You can create big damage. I'm able to go in there. It's almost like I'm back at Cessna Aircraft Company again. I can just get in there and drill all the heads off the rivets, pop them all out, pull the regulator out, put the new one back in, and squeeze new rivets in less than an hour. And my mechanics are just like, whoa, that's supposed to be a 2-hour job, and you did it in an hour. And I frequently tell them and say, there's other things in life that you can learn, that you can add to being a mechanic than just being a mechanic. You can learn how to do a lot of industrial things where there's drilling, threading, tapping, fasteners. There's all kinds of things you can learn that all apply to the auto mechanics field. One thing I've also learned in the mechanic field is you're never finished learning. You don't say, I've learned it all, I'm done. There's always different avenues to do something. There's cheaper ways to do something. There's cars you've never seen before in your life. There are problems that exist on cars that you've never addressed before, and you have to figure it out. And that is another thing that I'm training my mechanics with as well. Something that I've spent years learning is how do you acquire the data that you need without giving up and be able to take the data that you acquired and apply it. What's really rewarding for me is, although no mechanic can ever, like I said, they're never finished learning. You don't get to the point where you're done. But I'm at a point in my life now that although I will research and I will look into things if I need to find out what's wrong with a car, I'm past the point of training. I'm at to the point now where I'm doing the training. The knowledge that I've acquired over the years is useless if it passes away with me, and I figured these guys still have a career ahead of them. My mechanics that work for me, I can give them this knowledge. It makes their life easier, less stress, and they can take this with them long after I'm gone or after I'm retired. And it's very rewarding to me to pass that along, to have a trick of a trade or a way to do something that when it clicks, I see the look in the mechanic's eyes. They're like, wow, this really works. And I know from that point on, they won't ever forget that. They will always say, I remember the last time I fought with this thing for an hour and Car Wizard showed me this is the way to do it. And that's something they'll carry with them for the rest of their life, skills. So that's how I became a mechanic. That's how I've gotten to where I'm at. And I'm also how I can share the experiences that I've learned with the younger mechanics in my shop. It's kind of like a cycle. I learn from mentors. I have a couple of mentors in my life that made me the mechanic I am today. I hope to be that mentor for them so that they can be themselves car wizards someday.
5 years ago, the first sponsor we ever had here on the VINwiki channel was Caffeine and Octane. Now, they're our local Atlanta Cars and Coffee meetup that I've been going to for 15 or so years now, but it is now the largest monthly recurring automotive gathering on Earth. Now, you'll also recognize Caffeine and Octane from their television show, and the next season of that airs very soon on Motor Trend. In their quest for further automotive world domination, they just bought the legendary Lanier Motor Speedway, which is across the street from Road Atlanta. So throughout the next year, we're going to have a lot of amazing events there that you'll be invited to join. But the coolest project they've deployed lately is called HighOctane.tv, and it's a free streaming network that you can access from any smart TV, Roku, Fire Stick, smartphone, or a computer, and it'll give you access to a ton of programming, including all 5 seasons of their show, some content from creators we love like David Patterson, That Dude in Blue, and a ton more. Soon there will be some content from VINwiki on there as well. So visit the link in the description below to learn more about the amazing world of caffeine and octane.